This week on Unapologetic Uplift.
I think that when we are resonating in a high way, in a high vibration, and we're really true to ourselves, we start to recognize each other. We find people in the world that we recognize. And I feel that with you. I thought, I know this person, I feel instantly comfortable.
We also experience this in life when we meet someone, we go, oh, I do not want to spend another minute with this person, right? We're talking about attraction, we're talking about aversion, and both are actually great teaching opportunities for ourselves or mindfulness opportunities. People want to avoid failure, and I'd say, no, you want as many failures, but quick recovery.
And I feel like we're at a moment with you right now where we can actually own and unapologetically claim it is woo. And what's wrong with that?
I would say I would not apologize for being in a state of kindness. And it's free, which is cool, right? So, I just think, give people the benefit of doubt and approach life from a place of kindness and then see what comes.
Welcome back to Unapologetic Uplift. I am your host, Ianthe and my beautiful co-host, Kim Staples, and I are so excited to welcome a guest from all the way across the world, the dear, amazing, and I can't wait to hear what he's going to tell us about how amazing he is, Lawrence Ellyard. And welcome, Lawrence. We actually met through this wonderful group that is very inspiring, and I've met you now. There are two groups that we have in common. And I think that this speaks to, in a way, what I want to start with. I think that when we are resonating in a high way, in a high vibration, and we're really true to ourselves, we start to recognize each other. We find people in the world that we recognize. And I feel that with you, that you were one of those people that I went, just from hearing you speak, from reading some of your work, I thought, I know this person, I feel instantly comfortable. Like this is someone that I'm so grateful to be able to be in communication with. So tell us who you are. And I hope that introduction takes you somewhere where you want to go, but I'd love to hear from you. Tell us anything you want to tell us about who you are, Lawrence.
Yeah, well, thank you, and great to be here. So I'm the founder and CEO of the International Institute for Complementary Therapists, which is better known as IICT because it's a really, really long name. I always say to people, oh, if I had my time again, this was like 25 years ago, I came up with that name and I was like, wow, I really should have gone for something much shorter. But anyway, here we are. So thank you for that wonderful intro. And we are in a few different groups together, which is true. And I would put that down to sympathetic resonance as a term. And this is the idea that we are vibrating on a similar frequency and we naturally attract the people or communities that are in alignment, right? So just like you pluck the string on the guitar and then all the other same string in the music shop starts to resonate the same vibration. So I think, it's that whole, like attracts like, and I think that's really speaks to what's happening here. So, and I really see that a lot in my life, that there's these wonderful connections happen and there's a sense of like, okay, I feel at home, or I feel instantly a sense of connection. And we also experience this in life when we meet someone, we go, oh, I do not want to spend another minute with this person, right? So that's
the opposite.
We're talking about attraction, we're talking about aversion, and both are actually great teaching opportunities for ourselves or mindfulness opportunities, I believe, because we often want to go towards the thing that we like and we enjoy, which obviously is understandable. We go towards pleasure, we get away from pain. But I think also when there's aversion or challenge, there's a great edge or opportunity for us to learn something. So that is what I'd mention there.
I love that. I've actually spoken quite a bit about how we learn so much from what we don't like. That oftentimes it's hard to explain exactly what it is that we love or what we like. And we can so quickly explain, oh, I definitely don't like that. And that the aversion sometimes is an amazing tool to see what it is that we want, that we are aligning and going towards. And Kim and I, by the way, we met online. We've talked about this story before, but she was one of those people that I met her and I instantly thought, I just feel so comfortable, like I've always known her. And we've been together ever since. And now you're on our podcast and we're coming into the second year. We're going to be celebrating our second year this year of doing this. And we just love being together. And that was before we ever met in person. And now we've met in person several times. So it's a beautiful thing when we resonate with each other. So I want to ask, because I always ask to define terms. And when you say complementary therapist, there might be some people who don't know exactly what that means. So can you enlighten us on what that is?
Yeah, so I guess anything in the wellness space or longevity space or human optimization. So any of the sort of natural therapies. There's so many interesting terms because people don't like to call it, they're like, oh, it's, there's certain things you can't say. You can't say, oh, this is going to heal you or this is guaranteed to fix you or whatever it might be. So there's all these interesting words. So we use the word complementary because it is to complement traditional medicine or allopathic approaches to wellness. So it's not an either or, it's a both and. The other one is alternative therapies, but it sounds a bit out there, a bit woo-woo. So, and it's interesting, like I'm also co-producer and casting director for an upcoming documentary called The New Woo. And it's very timely because I think a lot of people have this idea that what was, woo-woo years ago is now becoming more and more mainstream. People talk about, oh yeah, I'm doing my breathing practice or I'm doing my meditation or I'm doing this mindfulness practice, whatever it is, or red light therapy or saunas or plunge pools, cold plunge and all that. So yeah, all of this is hitting more and more mainstream now. And so it's a really timely opportunity to celebrate all the different modalities. And like I said, I started this nearly 25 years ago, the IICT, and we started with just a few modalities, and now we're over 1,400 wellness modalities all around the world. And a lot of people have, when they hear that, they go, I didn't realize there were that many modalities, but there really are. There's so many different areas where complementary therapies has integrated with a lot of other approaches to functional medicine and allied health professions, and many people doing many different things that actually have a impact in the world. So the aim of the film and the aim of IICT is to elevate the global credibility of the wellness movement and to bring, community, like-minded people together that can amplify and support and elevate humanity. So that's really the big mission, and it's quite a mission, right? So it's not. I always say if you're gonna choose a mission, then make it a big one. We can have lots of small missions, like
Yes.
I'm going to get up on time, I'm going to get out of bed, I'm going to brush my teeth in the morning. These are small missions, but it's like, okay, what's the idea of something that is almost entirely out of reach, but still within reach? Yeah. So this idea that challenges, that stretches us, that can be incredibly exciting and challenging and massive opportunity, right? So I think it's important to have outrageous goals, have our almost unattainable goals so that we can all move towards something that's more empowering, that can change us and help elevate our community as we go.
I love that. Kim, we haven't heard from you yet, so I want to go to you because there's a lot I'm beaming with that I would love to say, but I'm handing it.
Amazing. So I love that you are bringing that credibility to the woo and 1,400 modalities. I never would have thought that there were that many myself. And I am licensed in a number of different healing modalities myself. And that's a reminder that even though we feel like we know a lot, we really know nothing.
Yeah, I think that's this idea of beginner's mind, that we often met with something new and we can go through life with this idea like, oh, I've got it all worked out or I know. But I think that the deeper one takes inquiry into the inner world, inner self, that there's a greater landing in this idea that actually I know nothing or I know very little. We have this concept in Aikido. So I'm a Aikido sensei and instructor for over 30 years. And as one deepens in a practice, whether it's martial art or a meditation practice or whatever it might be, there's a deeper sense of, or there's many stages of awareness around it. So usually when we start something, we feel clumsy and hopeless and, oh, I'm the worst. And then after a lot of repetitions and time, we start to go, oh, I think I've got this. I'm really great. I'm the best. I'm probably a master at this thing because I'm starting to get some breakthroughs. But you could say this is like the ego running the show saying, oh, yeah, you're pretty good. And then, of course, we get met with someone else or something else that then gives us a little bit of a knockdown again, say, hey, humility and opportunities for patience, and go, wow, okay, I don't maybe know as much as I thought I did, right? So we have humbling experiences in life, and life will humble us, right? If we're thinking we're bigger than we are. And at the same time, one should have huge aspiration, right? So it's a bit of both. And so I always say is check yourself.
Right.
Think about your thinking, because your thinking is going to dictate your reality. And if we combine that with really strong emotion and aspiration, then this is how we start to create worlds. Things start to open up and unfold in ways we often don't realize. And that also comes down to the idea of having a very broad opportunity for new things to land. Yeah. So if we're very like, I'm going for the thing that I want in life, but it has to be this way, and it's only with these people and only this. It's like a super tight. It's a very tight laneway versus being on the 8-lane highway or freeway, right? So there's like, okay, no, you could maneuver this way, but there's this opportunity, that opportunity. So again, I think it's to have a big aspiration, have your intention, and then be really open to allow the universe to corral in such a way to bring you the best outcome. And we have that also with our, we have that approach in our business as well, is that let the best consensus rise to the top. So it might be that in management, for example, like the upper management might say, well, this is what we're doing, and everyone just fall into line. And then you have sort of bottom up management where it's a democracy and every idea has to be actioned, but that's also not the way. So it's this idea of like, where's the collective consensus in the group, and then let's rise together and say, okay, well, there's a general sense that everyone feels connected to this idea and it feels really good and it's had some rigor, and that's what we should look at pursuing and seeing how that goes. And then obviously test and measure and fail fast, fail often. People want to avoid failure, and I'd say no, you want as many failures but quick recoveries. Many iterations, many quick recoveries. So this is such a great way to work. So it's like an agile approach to living. So whether it's in work, business, management, or just how we are pursuing our life in general, all this can be really well informed by these ideas.
Mm. And so much that you just expressed made me think of the word unapologetic. That when we are unapologetic, which this is called Unapologetic Uplift, and you're here with us, and what you're describing, it just feels like, first of all, I'll reflect back to you. It's beautiful that you're so aware of the ego and you're not letting it run the show at all. And you're so open to questioning. I wrote down a couple of things. I love beginner's mind. That's beautiful. And the concept. So if anyone listening, if you haven't ever heard that, maybe you want to share with us a little bit more about that, because I think that if we all could embrace beginner's mind, it would help us in so many ways. And the other piece on that was think about your thinking. I love both of those concepts. Do you want to dive into those a little more?
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, thinking about your thinking is, I think, really important, because often we are running on autopilot and we don't question our reality. So I think the thing that informs the part of thinking about your thinking is curiosity. I might go into a situation and think that this is how it is, right? And then other people give me feedback that's quite the opposite, or something really different. So that's an opportunity for me to go, oh, that's interesting. How curious, right? So not go like, no, you're right and I'm wrong, or I'm right and you're wrong. Again, this is very black and white, and it's very narrow, the focus. And narrow focus can be super helpful if you've got stuff you need to get done, right? For sure, or a project or a deadline. Yeah, that's laser focus. Right. It's also a superpower. And when it comes to this idea of thinking about your thinking, then having that informed through curiosity and a really open, a very broad palette where many things can come in to verify, check it, is it real? Yeah, because you have to check things for yourself, because we're all very unique. The one size fits all t-shirt doesn't fit everybody. It just doesn't. So the one size fits all mindset, or this is how it is. I might wake up in the morning and I'm absolutely deluded. I think I'm completely on track, right? But then I get met with the world, and the world goes, no, totally the opposite, or it's this other thing. And then I go, oh, okay, so if I'm overly narcissistic, my ego's running the show, then I'll be like oppositional. I'll be like, oh, you're right, I'm wrong, or whatever it is, or vice versa. So I think curiosity is super powerful as a growth tool. Yeah. So if I'm open and I'm open to many new nuances or ways of thinking, or new ways to approach a situation, there's a lot to be gifted to me in that space. Going to the point of beginner's mind, and it's very similar in many respects as well, because, yeah, I don't want to necessarily arrive with a fixed mindset or feel like I've arrived. Yeah, I actually want to look at this as the analogy that I'm in flight and there is actually no destination. There's no arrival hall. I don't land. And I don't want to land, actually, because again, if it links to this idea that one day when I fill in the blank, then I'll be happy, or then I'll, whatever it is, right? And we've all had those experiences of like, well, when I get the raise, then I'll be able to do this, or then and yes, certain things will give you openings, but it doesn't mean that it's a completion. It's not a full stop at the end of your sentence or your life, right? So I think living from this one day when is very limiting, because one day is today. There's only today.
Yeah.
Often we lament the past, and that's often when we're thinking about what didn't go well and we go to the past and we have these problems, it actually does nothing for us. It's a gateway to misery, one could say, when we ruminate the past.
Yeah.
And if we are fixated on the future, we miss the moment, So a great example, I was with my daughter and there was a fair on at her school and they had fireworks at night. And I looked around as I wasn't looking, I mean, I looked up, right? But I looked around just quickly and at all the people looking up, and about 95% of the parents were filming the fireworks on their phone and through their phone, and rather than actually taking in the moment. And you see this if you go into a big shopping mall or something like that and just take a moment and take stock of how many people have their head in their device, or people have their devices on the table with the screen up at dinner. And it's like, what could be so important? So I think having your phone out when you should be actually being present with whoever you're with is a missed opportunity to presence. So I think there's great ways to miss the moment by being distracted or I think there was a study they did actually, and I don't know how they arrived at the number of seconds, but it was like the attention span of a goldfish. And I think they had it at about 6 seconds. And now they've done further studies and said that most humans have attention spans in about 2 seconds. So actually the goldfish is doing way better. So this is like, okay, if there's a message for us to like, hey, slow down, be present, notice your body, be with the other or the others, that's a real, I think we're overstimulated where we want it all right now, instantly. We order on Amazon and it arrives the same day. And
Right. No more delayed gratification.
Yeah, delayed gratification, it's powerful, right? I mean, and they have built that in, they know the human psychology of this, so Apple, when you're unboxing your phone or your device, whatever it is, they purposefully make sure that there's a few seconds to lift the box. You can't lift the lid quickly. And again, it's to create this idea of earned reward through waiting. So it's interesting.
Wow.
But when we go through life and we have this instant gratification running, then again, we miss the moment. And we also probably don't appreciate the thing as much as well, to attain the thing. So there's something in the journey being more important than the destination. Yeah. So again, it's this idea of don't miss the moment, be here. Presence is such a gift. It really is.
I couldn't agree with you more. In fact, I have committed my life to conscious presence and helping mothers to be consciously present, because for a long time I wasn't and was really just going through the motions of life, and I missed out on a lot. And that whole when I arrive or when I reach this goal really is just a way to set yourself up for disappointment, because when you reach the goal and you arrive and realize that life isn't any better now, it's just so disappointing. But when you're able to be consciously present and live in the moment and take everything in, there's nothing more fulfilling than that.
Yeah, I agree. And it's like this idea that when we have aspiration and we lean into aspiration, and then so we have it's like we've put the coordinates in our GPS. So we know where we're going. So you could say this is your goal or your aspiration to whatever outcome. It could be far reaching. It could be small, like I have the aspiration to get to work on time, or I have the aspiration to write and publish a book, or whatever it might be, right? It could be a big goal, it could be a small goal. So when we lean into aspiration, then there's an opportunity for us to then come back to presence, because we know we've put our coordinates in, and then we are living into our future through presence. And this guides us often. We'll get little nudges of like, oh, no, go this way. Yeah. So it's like a rerouting of the coordinates. We're driving down the highway and it's like, go this way, it's 5 minutes faster. And so these little cues from the GPS, if we use that as an analogy for our life path, the chance meeting, the conversation, the thing that the person said, or the email we got, or the notification that said, maybe we're watching something on social media and then someone's talking to the thing that we need the clue about. So if we slow down and we tune into our body, we'll have the opportunities for feedback from the universe. And these are the little adjustments of the GPS that say, this way it's a bit easier. Yeah. And that's also surrounding yourself with people you trust and people that are like-minded, that are in line with your aspiration. So again, misery loves company. So if we're hanging out with people that are Debbie Downers and very like poor me or victim, then we're going to find it very hard to move forward in a meaningful way. And sometimes we're in situations when we're with people who are more challenging or have quite a negative outlook, and some things we can't do much about. Like these could be family members, these could be work colleagues, the person we sit next to, and they're always, it's complaining, or it's always the others, it's not me, so the blame game. And when we're with challenging people, so again, these are learning opportunities, but it's like to have the view of like, well, they have to spend all their time with themselves. I only have to spend this amount of time, so that must be hard for them. Yes,
and that's the compassion, then when you're able to switch it to the compassion, I don't think we're pulled down into the negativity. There's I don't know, this might sound lofty, but we rise above that when we're in the energy of compassion. I feel like then we're able to see it and not just be drawn down into it. And okay, so I want to get into the word woo.
Yeah, sure.
Because you mentioned it, and you have this amazing documentary coming up, and it's The New Woo, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. And Kim and I have often, because of what we do, and because she's a facilitator for breathwork and a tapping technique that she has done. And she also has a healing modality that involves the chakras and early childhood traumas that are connected to each chakra. And I've personally gone through some of her work and had a massive breakthrough thanks to her. We often find ourselves saying, well, it's not woo-woo. I remember saying this a lot. Previously, right? And we say, well, it's not woo-woo. And I feel like we're at a moment with you right now where we can actually own and unapologetically claim it is woo.
Yeah.
And what's wrong with that? So tell me what is woo to you, and why can we claim it?
Yeah, and exactly. In a way, it's poking fun at ourselves, right? The spiritual community or the woo-woo community, and at the same time, there's tremendous gifts and credibility within it. So yeah, I think it's important to claim oneself as being woo-woo. And I think we're all a bit woo at times. And it's just the idea that that's something that's not, I guess the principal idea is alternative to the mainstream, or the mainstream narrative, or the mainstream approach to health and wellness. Yeah, so we're utilizing other things beyond our ordinary senses, and using different methodologies. They're actually most of them are very ancient, but they're often repackaged and marketed in different ways, right? So when we're talking about the new woo, it's actually also celebrating the up and coming talent and the new future leaders and teachers in the world. And there's tremendous work being done by younger generations in this space. Yeah. So with the film, we have a lot of great thought leaders that have been around for many, many years. I'd kind of call them the old woo, respectfully.
Yeah.
Some of them are pushing 70, 80. You got people like Dr. John Gray, who wrote Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And he said, when I hit 70, I kind of started slowing down a bit. And great people like Jack Canfield, he's in his early 80s now. So I would say respectfully to these, they're kind of the old woo. That were some of the pioneers of the human potential movement. And there's people in their 20s and 30s and 40s that are doing incredible work in this space. So it's about celebrating the generations, celebrating the great teachers. I mean, I look at my children and I'm like, oh, deep bow, like my great teachers, So yeah, and teachers appear everywhere. Yeah, and the teacher might be someone who's really, really annoying. And we
Exactly.
and we might go, wow, thank you, my great teacher of patience. Because I could never learn patience without you, so thank you. What a gift. So again, it's this idea that we can be oppositional or we can bring judgment or whatever it is, but just own it and go, wow, okay. And what is the gift here? What's the lesson? What am I getting the opportunity to learn through the interaction? If there's a challenge or if there's a gift, what do I get to learn from that too? Yeah. Like we always sort of say that I'm either learning or I'm winning. Yes. I have an opportunity to sharpen myself if there's something challenging, or I'm celebrating life. I'm celebrating the gifts and having gratitude for what's there. And so again, it's this idea my Buddhist teacher always said, try to find the good in the other, even if it's really hard. And it might just be that, wow, they've got really nice looking shoes. Like I couldn't find anything personality wise. It was a real stretch.
There it is.
Yeah, but there's like really I'm having a hard time finding this, right? But I really, yeah. So I think, again, like what you shared as well, it's this idea that compassion enables us to be in the helicopter and looking down not looking down like I'm better than, but looking down
Right.
like an elevated view of the situation. And that gives me many, many options. If I'm in the thick of it, if I'm in the hole with the person and battling and I'm right and you're wrong, then I've got very few options.
Whew. And Kim, if you have something to say, I'm going to let you. But I have a question.
Yeah, I'm just like nodding and agreeing with everything that you're saying, Lawrence. And when you talk about having the compassion and trying to find the best in people or trying to find something at least good about them, it really aligns with how I live my life and the way that I teach my children to look through the lens of love rather than fear. I'm constantly encouraging them in every situation to recognize that if somebody's mistreating you or doing something that you don't like, chances are that is actually stemming from some deep-seated fear somewhere. Well, it might be presenting as anger or resentment or jealousy. Ultimately, that stems from a fear somewhere deep within. And if we can just look at that through love, it softens everything and prevents us from then looking through fear as well and being reactive.
Yeah, I think it's great wisdom speaking there, because it's like if love is online, it's very hard to be in agitation or aversion. Like it's like putting the light on in the room. Where did the darkness go? Like the light overpowers the negativity. Is just this state of love, and what a huge gift that is, right? So often when there's challenge, it's very hard to flick the switch to love, right? But we can flick the switch to compassion, and maybe we do it in our head from this idea that, okay, there must be something going on, so again, I'm curious, I'm compassionate, and then that arises to this place of love, through compassion. Like it's the kind of natural evolution. But again, if we're very much like with our nose in the air, like we're better than or whatever, then we're always going to be in really bad company, because nobody is going to measure up to ourselves, right? So this is our pride. And that's, I'd say that's like exclusive pride because, I'm way better than
Yeah.
everyone else, right? So in other words, too, I have nothing to learn. So I'm the master, but I'm probably not, right? As soon as someone says, oh, I've arrived, yes, again, it's like, did the plan arrive? And the plane did not.
No,
Yeah.
I'm building the plane while I'm flying it all the time,
Yeah. Oh,
and it's never done.
that's what they say
I've been
about
accused.
entrepreneurs, right? Yeah.
I've been accused of it so much, and I was raised so. My mom taught me how to read auras and how to surround myself in white light before I was even taught how to brush my teeth. And I was raised by a healer mom who uses a lot of different modalities. And she is with us today. She's 83 now.
Yeah.
I just took her off of her mountaintop. She was living off the grid on a mountaintop. And I just brought her down to us just very recently. And it's amazing having her with me. But I think being raised by her, I feel like it gave me this superpower to be able to not have judgment about the way that people navigate healing and look at the world. And I've never been that person that says, oh, that's too woo. But I will tell you what it did do, though, that I'm wondering if you've come across this. Because I was raised around that, like she handed me a crystal ball when I was 5 and asked me to look in it and see what I saw. And I saw my grandmother. I started laughing and said, my grandmother is there and she's holding her foot and she's crying and Papa's wearing a funny hat. And my mom called my grandparents and in fact, she had twisted her ankle and she said, I know this is a weird question, but are you wearing a hat, Dad? And he said, yes, what does that have to do with anything? I got to get your mother to the hospital. So she took the crystal ball away from me, but I was raised with all this. So what I've found is as I got older and I started to meet people that called themselves different kinds of practitioners, I had a big, I don't believe it. I would have this, I feel like there was a filter that I've looked through over the years of saying, I'm not sure that I believe you. And I see a lot of fraud and I see a lot of people taking advantage of others because I think in this space, it's very easy because you can say there aren't certain credentials necessarily or certain things. I just wonder if I'm making sense. My question, I guess, is, do you see fraud? How do you handle that? How do you know when something is really helpful and from love or not? And does that come up for you?
Yeah. So this is, I'd kind of put this in the realm of discriminating wisdom, right? So discernment. And it's interesting, like if we're going to go to the dentist, we're going to assume that they have qualifications and that they have experience, they know what they're doing. And we go into the office and we see the certificate on the wall from the Royal Academy of Dentistry, or whatever it's called, right? And it's an unconscious knowing of like, this person's got me. Like,
and the lab coat, even the
that
right
helps
optics of I've got this look. Yeah.
And we have discernment. We check, it looks like they've got great reviews online and everyone's happy, right? And it looks professional. When we go into the spirituality realm, or the wellness or natural therapies, often people throw discernment out because they just kind of get starstruck by, because someone might be really charismatic and often they're still humans, right? That they have their own foibles and problems and challenges, right? So some people masquerade in that spiritual materialism, or like a fake spirituality in a way, but they're actually not a really good person, right? And they're like, I can make a buck or I can take advantage or I'll get the elation, I'll be elevated by all these people and they'll appreciate me or whatever it is. So there can be obviously, a shadow operating when it comes to one's spiritual practice, right? And there's other people that are not so scrupulous, right? So one should still have discernment and really look at it like, okay, just as I want to check that the dentist knows what they're doing, if I'm working with a therapist or a practitioner that's helping me in my psychological wellness or my health or whatever it is, you might want to check that they are qualified and check their reviews online and verify it. And so that's part of what we do with the IICT. We're looking at the existing qualifications. We're affiliated with all the different education providers in the space for the particular modalities. And then we issue certification, a credibility seal, essentially, to say this person's bona fide. We have a certificate as well. So people come to that and go, oh, wow, this is solid, right? So I think I'd always say to anyone looking to work with anyone, I mean, it doesn't matter what profession, but particularly in the wellness space, because it's fairly an unregulated area, to really just check those credentials. And at the end of the day, trust your body, because your body will give you a yes. Yeah. You'll either go, this feels right in my gut. This feels right. Yeah. Or, this feels a bit sticky. There's something here that's a little bit off, feels a little bit like not quite right. And then that's your intuition, right? That's your guidance saying, hang on, check this. So again, I think if there's a sense of going in to make a decision, then it's good to pause and slow down and tune into your body and see what's your body informing you of in relation to a decision. Does it feel elevated? Does it feel like a pushback? Do you lean in or do you lean away? These can be good, quick measures. I used to do this thing. I was reading hundreds and hundreds of books for so many years. I still do read so many books, but I would take the book and if it was something, should I read this? I'd ask the question. I'd sit it on my head, the book. And it sounds weird, but this is what I used to do. And I was like, do I feel uplifted, like I'm going up in the elevator, or do I feel like I'm going down in the elevator? And it was a real somatic response, because I'd be like, this feels great. Yeah. And I'm going to read this one. And there was a sense of like, just like, something's a bit off, It's like a beautiful piece of music and one of the notes is played wrong. Then you go, okay, there's something here. Yeah. Yeah.
That reminds me of muscle testing, which is probably one of the modalities that you do. Really quick, because you have the IICT, right? International Institute for Complementary Therapists. Is that something that everyone can access if they want to go through, make sure that someone they're interested in seeing? Yeah.
For sure. So we accredit tens of thousands of practitioners all over the world. We have the same amount of education providers. So I think if you're a therapist or practitioner in one of the healing arts, and literally, if you can think of it, we probably have it already represented, then one can join as a member. And if you're running courses or workshops or running retreats or, different modalities and you're providing education to make those people into practitioners, then we've got you as well. We're the sort of one-stop shop for that. And we also have connections with all kinds of insurance providers globally to give people access to the insurance that you need to be in practice as well at a really good price. So you could, we're kind of like the Costco of natural therapies of the wellness industry. Like, in other words, we so many that come through that we get at a really good price. So it's a really discount sort of rate. And people, if they want to connect to that, they can just go to our website. It's myiict.com. So myiict.com. And then there's, whether you're a practitioner, a student, or an educator, then there's an easy process to get accredited through us. That was my plug. No,
I love that.
Plug. But it's a really useful thing, because when people, we have thousands of reviews and everyone's like, if I'd only found you sooner, because I was paying this really high price, or no one would recognize this modality because it was too woo, right? And again, we, you could say we're like the translator between the wellness practitioner and the insurer, because you talk to most insurers, they have no idea what you're talking about. They're like, what's that thing? It enables a pathway for people to get industry ready, accredited, recognition. And again, the end user, the customer of the practitioner, comes into their treatment room and they see the certificate, and there's a sense of assurance that, okay, this is the right person. I've made a good choice. Yes, this is part of what we do, is to help bring more credibility to the industry. And I think it's needed, because there's so much transformative and fantastic work out there. And in any industry, there's going to be sharks, right, in the water. There's going to be people that aren't so scrupulous, right? So, it's important to check things, because, one can be led astray. And we might be super enthusiastic and then go, oh, hang on, this person's taking advantage. I heard a really great saying, a wonderful thought leader I was speaking to yesterday, and then she said this saying of, let me pray for you. But she said, some people are actually, let me pray on you.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah.
So and in the way that they say, let me pray for you, can be very, depending on how you, I'm going to pray. You know what, Lawrence? I'm going to pray for you. And that doesn't feel, doesn't feel safe, does it?
I can't pray for myself, So again, is it authentic compassion and care, or is it a cloak and dagger situation, right? So I think you got to check people's motives sometimes, because it's not all love and light and rainbows and fairy floss, right?
It
Sometimes
is on Unapologetic Uplift.
okay, well,
Unapologetically
that's good.
love and light over here, you're safe. But yeah,
I'm in the
out
right
there in the
place.
world.
Yeah, exactly. So have discernment. Have discernment. Check
Yeah.
stuff. Just dive in because it's the latest fad. Check it with yourself. And, if you're doing a treatment that is a bit on the fringe, then, it's good to check this with your medical physician and get many perspectives before arriving at a decision, because again, I think people often are just like, oh, I just trust the universe, and the universe is like, hey, what about discernment? And so you might get the right. So let's not do that because those lessons can be expensive, they can be painful, they can set us back, they can derail our journey, right? So, and I'm not trying to put fear into people or, oh, I've got to, suddenly be on high alert. Again, your body will tell you if it's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Kim, did you want to say anything before we wrap up? I can't believe how quickly this has gone, but
Yes.
No, I'm definitely going to check out the IICT.
Yeah.
I'm interested.
yeah. And the new Woo, I'm really excited about this documentary. And I feel like you just have I feel you have a lot of protection around you and you're a very protective person. Like I feel safe in your presence. And so the fact that you have something that you've had for, you said over 25 years to help practitioners and to help people find good practitioners in the world that's not necessarily the conventional medical route in the healing modalities, I feel is so wonderful and so needed. And I'm very grateful that you have that and that we got to meet you and share you with our audience. So everyone now is aware of this, at least from in our circle, and aware of you, even though you're all the way across the world. And that is the one good thing about technology, is that we can be together like this in conversation and get to know each other like this from so far away across the world. You're in Queensland?
No, I'm in New South Wales, so we're in Byron.
Oh, New South. Okay.
Yeah. It's actually the most easterly point of Australia. We're not far from that, but yeah, it's a very iconic place, and it's full of woo-woo people. So there's there's a whole bunch of little towns around this area that are very much well known for the alternative and complementary wellness and like yoga and massage and like all the different wellness modalities. Like every second person is some kind of therapist or something. Like seriously, it's like that. Little bit like Sedona is really known as a bit of a woo-woo town in the States, and we're kind of like the coastal version of that, on the beach, which is really great. Yeah. But yeah, it's a great.
You did mention in the beginning, we all have this ability. We're all woo, really. And I want to reiterate that we are. And for those of you, if you're listening and you think, well, this is weird to me and I'm not woo, do you make a wish on birthday candles?
Oh, yeah.
Because I bet you do. Most people do, and they don't think of that as woo, but I'm going to tell you it is, because what are you doing? You're setting an intention on a candle flame. That is also can be, so everybody has the ability to see things that our eyes don't see, to recognize things that we feel, to have sensitivity that's beyond what is in the senses that we hear about just scientifically. And now science is also catching up. So people are seeing auras like I'd
say prayers like that too, right? Like,
oh yes,
I'd say prayers pretty woo-woo, because
it's extremely woo-woo.
Yeah,
and it works.
And it works, right? Yeah. So again, like I wouldn't be too concerned around the classification of it. I'd just be more about like, does it help? Do I feel better? Am I a better version of myself through whatever practice it might be? And it might be prayer, or it might be, affirmation, or it might be, particular practice. So yeah, look at the results, and it's often results over time. It's like we don't go to the gym once and we come out with this amazing physique. It's repetition over time. It's consistency over time, right? And like that, any of those things, like or our aspiration, it needs to be reinforced and reaffirmed for us to get the result. So, again, in the world of instant gratification, I'm so sorry, but this isn't that. It isn't. But
No.
in the moment, the instant gratification is the dividend through the practice, right? So maybe I meditate and then I get off my cushion and I go into my day and I'm a slightly better version of myself. Then that's a win, right?
Mm-hmm.
Opposed to not doing it at all, or saying, "Oh yeah, I'll do that. I should do that. I should." I think with the word "should" is in the communication. Okay, there's a warning sign.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like I'm doing it or I'm not doing it. It's not some wishy-washy thing in between. So again, it takes a little bit of rigor and discipline, but we get the results if we make the effort, and it may not be seen straight away, but it's gradual sometimes, or oftentimes it is, right? So yeah, one needs to check ourselves and make concerted effort. Right effort, brings results. It really does.
Yeah. Beautifully said. Kim, do you want to say anything in closing?
I would just love, we like to ask people as we wrap up the podcast, one final question, and that is, what is one thing that you will not apologize for?
I would say I would not apologize for being in a state of kindness. Because
Beautiful.
it's free, which is cool, right? So I just think, give people the benefit of the doubt and approach life from a place of kindness and then see what comes. And I think that's a good standard. And like I say, it costs you nothing. It generates a lot of good merit. So it's probably a pretty easy one to do for people. Or try it on, like again, practice kindness and see what happens in your life. Yeah. Because what happens is I take the focus off myself and my problems and what's wrong, and I start to look outwards. So then I'm in a state of possibility now. Now I'm like, okay, well, what can I do? How can I be of contribution? And so contribution in our lives will obviously then start to generate more possibility. We can help ourselves through helping others. So my Buddhist master, he always said, service is the quick path. If you can approach existence from this place of service and contribution to others, then our problems become smaller. They become less important, and we can say, well, how can we be creating something meaningful in the world? So I think this is also, a good. I mean, I'm giving you many different ideas here, right? But I think, kindness is key, and curiosity, compassion. If we had to leave with 3 pillars, that would be those. Yeah, kindness, compassion, curiosity. What a good formula for life.
Ooh, that was beautiful. Kindness, compassion, and curiosity, the formula for life. Thank you, Lawrence, so much for bringing this beautiful formula, all of the things that you shared with us. And we really look forward to sharing with our audience the ways that they can stay connected to you and be able to witness the birth of this documentary, which I'm very excited about. And I just thank you so much for being with us.
Yeah, thank you. It's great to riff on all this and share. And it's like my oldest son, well, my 2 oldest boys, they love to kind of rap and stuff like that. And and that's what we're doing here, really.
Exactly.
We're just seeing what comes up in the moment. And I find with any time I'm on a podcast, I actually do 0 preparation intentionally because I just want to see what happens. I don't know what's going to happen. How cool, how exciting, right? So it's good just to go into life on some level like that too. Yeah, just with the wonderment of a child or just going in and seeing what happens. Like there's something about engaging the mystery and seeing what arises. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
And
please.
that was so good. Yeah, we love that. That's our style. We have a whole episode on how important it is to not be prepared sometimes. Yeah, that's so great. Well, thank you for trusting us and being here with us. And thank you,
Yes,
everyone.
thank you.
Yeah, great to see everyone. Thanks so much, Sam.
Thank you, Lawrence.